Right, are we ready? Think so.
Ready? Yeah.
Yep.
My brain's gone blank and all, don't you worry.
That's exactly it.
I was thinking, right, I must remember your name's Paul. I must remember.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Hello, my name is Paul Lemon, and amazingly, I've been with GB Railfreight for 25 years. And on this day, 25 years ago, I drove GB Railfreight's first commercial service.
Hey.
And I'm joined today by...
My name's Bessie. I am a train driver for GBRf. I drive out of Eastleigh, and I've been with GB for just over 2 years. So, yeah, a massive difference in time, really, from, when you drove the first train for GB. And where was that?
So at the time, the first contract was with Railtrack National Logistics, as it was at the time. And they were running out of 2 yards covering Anglia, which was Temple Mills and Peterborough. So the first train, 23:45, Temple Mills down to Stansted Airport, dropping long welded rails. And it was not an uneventful trip.
What had happened during that?
So approaching Bishop Stortford, the loco shut down, just for good measure. I managed to roll into the platform at Bishop Stortford so trains could get by, and a rescue engine that we had sitting at Temple Mills was sent to rescue us, and then we still completed the rail drop.
That is brilliant. Do you remember what the rescue engine was?
The rescue engine was actually one we'd been using from Freightliner for training runs that we'd borrowed, and I don't think to this day, John says, no one ever knows that we borrowed it for that service. But the important thing is set the principle. Network Railtrack, as it was struggling to get possessions delivered because of issues, and bringing a new supplier in. And the bonus of GB Railfreight was making sure we delivered every time. And that failure and recovery was the start of things to come.
Yeah. So you start how you mean to go on.
Absolutely.
And even if you are faced with a difficult situation, to be able to look after that and move on with things, that's great.
So I think that was the key ethos of the business, and hopefully it remains to this day. So Bessie, how do you find it in the two and a bit years that you've been here? Do you feel that ethos is still there?
Yeah, absolutely. You get the job done, and no matter what obstacle is in your way, as long as you're safe and using a bit of common sense, you just get the job done however you can, and have a bit of fun doing it as well. I just then hearing about how the engine failed and you had to be rescued, that just brings that feeling of, oh, it's fun, chaos, and having to use your mind and thinking about what you need to do. That's one of the bits of the job that I really enjoy.
And where are you working from currently?
Out of Eastleigh. So my core route is Southampton Docks all the way up to like Birmingham Way, Coles Hill Parkway, Nuneaton. So it's a long old distance. And then when I'm on possession sites, T3s, it's here, there and everywhere. So I was recently at, where did I go to? Just outside of Yeovil. And coming up this week, I'm going to go to Byfleet. So yeah, it's pretty much dotted around. Love it. Absolutely love it.
I think that's important because GB started just in Anglia, there to deliver possessions in Anglia, and we've expanded so much since then. I can't keep up with everywhere we now go, which pretty much seems to be everywhere in the country. Yeah,
I did a possession in Newquay, and that was great. I'd bought myself a Cornish pasty. It had to be done. Sat on site watching the work being done because they'd put a new line in. And that's the really cool part as well, is that you can go past places all around the UK and go, oh, I had a hand in making that. And I was there when they were building that and redoing that. And it's, a really nice feeling.
I think that's important. And possessions, people don't realise possessions are so important and they're so diverse and interesting. I find them much more fascinating than doing an intermodal train where you're just going from A to B as quick as possible. Yeah,
I really enjoy doing possessions as well. And it's fun. It's an odd kind of fun as well from start to finish, because you have to liaise with the driver that you're taking over with and find out where they are. And they could be in the middle of nowhere. So you're finding out by coordinates and then you're getting all the way there, managing to then hand over. And like you said, after looking at safety briefs and maps and stuff and knowing that you could never have driven in this place. And then there's gradients that you've never seen before and stations that you've never been to before. So yeah, it's just I I only ever explain it as fun, but it's a joy, isn't it? It's
It
a
is.
pure joy.
It is.
And then for that to have gone over the last 25 years as well, and it's not just us having fun. There's loads of us out there having fun with it.
It is. I mean, we started, there was 20 drivers and ground staff in the business. Now there's nearly 1,000, and that just shows you the phenomenal growth that's undertaken.
Yeah.
But going back to the possessions, I remember doing a possession in the New Forest, Brockenhurst area.
How beautiful, yeah.
And the only way to get the relief to you was to climb up the bank on top of a bridge to try and get a mobile phone signal to let them know where you were.
Yeah, because nowadays, it's great. I've got an Access Gate app and what 3 words and WhatsApp, and you can send your location. But what, 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have been doing that?
We just had Nokias. We didn't have iPhones or screens or any of that. It was just a phone number.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having it that way. Yeah, it must have been quite difficult to then find out where your driver was.
You did an awful lot of planning in advance.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the other thing. In those early days, we'd meet on a Thursday and plan who was doing what, and actually have all the team together planning who was relieving and whatever.
Yeah.
It had to move on because we got bigger, but that's how it started.
Yeah, I can imagine. How many did you say that it started with? 20?
20, yeah.
20 drivers, yeah. So to then all meet up, that must have been quite nice to just see each other all the time.
But we weren't doing any other services. That came later. And the expansion came later, which was really good.
How does it feel knowing that you've seen every second of the growth of it?
Old. It has. I never envisaged when I come to GB that I would be here for the rest of my railway career, 25 years, a few more to go, hopefully. It was phenomenal. And you bear in mind, I was with British Rail, South West Trains before that, which you thought would never change. 25 years with GB has been the longest period of work in one company I've ever done.
That's amazing. And that it just goes to show how much you've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There's no going back. And it's 25 years is a lot of days, but what's been, when you think of it, what is your highlight out of all of it?
That's such a hard question because
Yeah, I
I've done
bet.
so much. If I can say one thing, GB Railfreight has allowed me to do an awful lot of roles within the business. Obviously, I came in as a driver. That was the point. I was already a driver manager from where I was before, so I did some management roles. But I've done setting up the depot at Felixstowe. I've done new business implementation, been round Drax Power Station and other power stations before we started running from there. And obviously, I then became, for a time, professional head of operations, and now I'm doing ETCS. So I can't say there's one highlight, but it's the fact the business and John Smith gives you the freedom to look at how you develop yourself and try something new and venture in, but still retaining the ability to drive trains and do the core work.
Yeah. And then you've spoken then as well about like the modernisation of the railway, that you're getting involved in that part. It must be quite exciting to think of the future and knowing that you've had a hand in, again, the start of something completely brand new.
It absolutely is, because the railway was considerably different 25 years ago, very much more unionised in the way it worked, very much more rigid. And the one thing that GB's been is looked at the boundaries and how we can break out the boundaries, how we can be creative in delivering economically the services. So some of the stuff that I've done is actually replanned services so that they're more economic to run in terms of drivers. And one of which was, and I'll give you an example, was the carless all train that runs between North Walsham and Harwich.
Yeah.
That used to run up and back every day using about 4 staff, but it would only run once or twice a week. So for 2 days a week, you had people doing night turns, but no following night or no previous night, which is never fun. I got them to agree to do it up one day, back the next, one crew all week. It's become so much easier to run, so much more economic. And we're not putting drivers and ground staff into a position where they can't sleep or get proper rest.
Yeah.
And that's how you can be creative, and that's how you can improve stuff. I mean, you've been on shifts, you've done some of these shifts. How do you find that?
Tough to begin with. When it was something that was new to me and I'd passed out, I'm on my own, I'm then managing myself. It was a case of more, I'm nervous that I'm going to get it wrong. So I'm really thinking, I must go to sleep now. I must eat now. I must do this now. And then after a few weeks of actually getting into the swing of things, even though it's shift work and you're up and down, you sort of learn, don't you, how your own body can cope and how your own mind can cope. And you can tell signs. You can see your own signs of when you're either flagging or if you need to eat something or if you need a bit of a rest. And it's nice that, and it seems the same for you as well, that if there is something that you can see where change could be implemented for the better, that you are listened to. And I've certainly found that at my depot, and when I've been nervous of things or if I've needed help, it's been nice to be able to go and speak to someone and go, by the way, I'm just feeling like this, and actually be listened to. And that's,
Yeah, and that's good. And how do you find it as a woman in this sector? Because 25 years ago, it was difficult for a man to access facilities,
yeah,
and there's bonuses for men that aren't necessarily available for women. I'd like to think GB has invested in facilities. From what I've seen,
it's
there has been,
it's brilliant. I
but
can speak for Eastleigh. Eastleigh's gorgeous. It's got a gorgeous mess room. I've got a loo with a key. Up by Landor Street, new mess room with a key latch, so I can plan. Oh, I'm going to actually go and treat myself to a loo,
Hmm.
which is nice. It's nice to have those new facilities, and they're always clean and they're always available. Um, it's just been great. I've never felt like I've stuck out at GB. I don't feel like I'm any different to you or any different to anyone else sat in the mess room with me. It's been nice to fit in.
I think that's brilliant, because that's the one thing I've seen with GB is that we have invested in those facilities over the last few years, and it's important.
Yeah.
Pe-
Yeah, because there's ideas out there that it's more of like a nice idea that they're wanting to get facilities in loops and stuff like that. I can't see a realistic way of that ever happening. So it's nice to have facilities at either end of a journey, so to speak. And possessions are a little bit different, and it's like site access points maybe might have a cubicle and they're a little bit questionable, but it's part of the job, and it's just as enjoyable as everything else.
Good. What do you find your favourite loco?
My favourite loco. So you were speaking about Drax Power Station. I love 66724. It's my pass out engine. I pass out, so it means a
Right.
lot to me. I passed out in July of 2024, so 724. It's
It,
quite satisfying that it all worked out. And then whenever I see it, it's just an absolute joy to drive. I love it. Absolutely. And it's funny how you do kind of latch on to different engines that you see it.
yeah.
And 719 is another favourite of mine. I drove it for the first time when it was Metroland. I think it's now Michael Portillo. So yeah, you just see little engines go, oh, I love that one.
Mm.
And then there's other engines where you see it and you go, oh no, not you, not you again. Yeah, 724, absolutely love it. Have you got a favourite?
714, funnily
Oh,
enough,
really?
Chroma Lifeboat.
Yeah.
And I think because one of the most notable events was the naming of that loco at Chroma,
Yeah.
which I took the locos there, and we did a run to Sheringham and back with the loco, and it was full of. With me was in the cab was John Smith and the Canadian Minister of Transport, and in the back cab and all down the inside of the end of the clean air compartment, the radio compartment, was most of Chroma Lifeboat crew.
That
I
is
mean, it was
bonkers, isn't it?
absolutely scary as anything in all the corridors and whatever. I mean, but naming that loco has always stood out in my mind.
Yeah, that must have been
Um,
so nice. A really proud moment for everyone involved.
Absolutely. So, and I think that was an important tie-in, and it obviously supports a very important charity as well. And going back to charities, one of the things the business does is support charities over the years
Yeah.
and changeable ones, and I think that's important. It's all part of that ethos to give something back.
Yeah.
Um, and there's been a number of charities that we've supported, and they're all important. How do you think that is?
In the last couple of years since I've been here, we've had the best fun. I went to Railfreight Rocks last. Oh my goodness, that raised what, about 10 grand? I think over 10 grand for Great Ormond Street. Superb night. So a lot of GB, well, all GB staff up on the stage singing, playing instruments. The work that had gone into that was insane. It was at the Water Rats at King's Cross, if I remember right, and everyone just had the best time. And we all had bucket hats. I bought myself two because they come in two different colours. So there's a white one and a blue one, Great Ormond Street with GB Railfreight on the front. Just such a good night. So raising money for charity while having fun, because I mean, I wish I could run a marathon every day, but I couldn't. So to be able to actually just go and have a party and have a dance with everyone and have a laugh while raising money is brilliant. And like charters and raising money at stalls at heritage railways, and I've got involved in a few things there. So I designed a few magnets, and they were for sale on the table at Swanage. And it's just so nice to be. If you want to get involved, you can get
You
involved.
can.
Yeah, no one's saying no, and no one's saying that you can't. And it's everyone and anyone can get involved somehow, and it's just so much fun.
I drove the first charity rail tour
Did you?
down to Eastleigh, because it was just basically the empty stock return work into Eastleigh.
That's cool.
I drove that, including into Staines Loop that doesn't exist anymore,
Wow.
because there was problems further on. And likewise, I've done open days and Barry Hill. I remember doing. We're taking the engine there and selling mugs and stuff for charity.
Yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal period.
Yeah.
It's worth everyone getting involved in charity.
Yeah. Yeah. And
They
to be
are.
able to say that you're part of it as well. And it's a great feeling to when emails come through and bits from the loop come through saying we've raised this much, and just by doing this, it's like, wow, that is actually a lot of money. And how many of us are, like 1,400 of us, to raise that amount of money is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's phenomenal. And there's such fun. I think that's important that you
Yeah.
said it is such fun to do it.
Yeah. And it's coming up with ideas, and everyone's got brilliant ideas to raise this money.
Going back to, I think I've already asked you about where you find the favourite route. And you're down at Eastleigh, and obviously I was a Bournemouth driver before I come to GB. So it's a route I know well. But it's a route I find has really nice and interesting bits and really nice, absolutely boring bits. So driving through the New Forest is absolutely wonderful. I've always loved that bit. But going up to Basingstoke, I always find that, and up to Farnborough, I find quite boring as a route.
Yeah.
I don't know if you find the same or.
I think I'm easily pleased. As a route goes, it's quite enjoyable. Even the most like bland parts, there's nothing really to look at other than the signals in front of you. Even then, you notice little bits every day that you go, oh, I didn't see that last time. And then it's almost like unlocking different parts of the same scenery that actually, and then suddenly you've built like a whole 360 in your brain over however long that you drive it. And yeah, I think I just get excited about every little bit going past it. A new wheelbarrow that weren't there before, or going through Birmingham and seeing like that football wasn't there yesterday, and then suddenly that football's there for the rest of your career. And yeah, it's I think as well, having boring parts of a route where it could be challenging, because that's something that I found as well. Coming into driving, is that you concentrate all the time, but it's that sort of bringing yourself back into focus, because it's like driving a car on the motorway, isn't it? And suddenly you think,
Yeah.
oh, how did I get here? But in your train, you can't really do that as such. So it's like you feel yourself kind of going, and then it's that ability of going, oh, back in. Like I I love wrist trigger commentary. because I like to sing to myself all the time. And my poor DIs and my poor management having to sit next to me on ride outs and listening to my songs as I'm going through different restrictives. And yeah, so I don't think I could ever be bored.
I'm glad you said that. Being one of the people that brought in risk trigger commentary and one of the mitigations, that
Oh,
is music
no
to my
way.
ears.
I'm going to have to take you out one day and sing to
and the
you.
singing tie-in just made me smile.
Yeah, I'm going to have to sing to you one day. Actually, one of my DIs, a brilliant man, Marcus Betts, fantastic. He put a song in my head of Peppa Pig, the theme tune, and he goes do 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 red ahead, and I just sing that all the way until Over the Magnet, come to a stand, and I'm still singing do 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 do. But I think you have to be a little bit loopy to sit in the cab on your own for hours and hours a day.
And that's a good point, actually, because the cab is your office, but it's also you're on your own for long periods, and mentally that can be a bit of a challenge. And I think you've just alluded to it. So how do you find that?
It's, you know what, I find it a joy. I worried that I wouldn't like my own company, so I like to chat to people. I like being around people. All my railway jobs up until driving have been dealing with people. Um, but yeah, I've really enjoyed my own company. And I mean, we still talk to a lot of people though, like the signallers and
Yeah.
ground staff when you're in yards and station staff, you still end up talking to a lot of people. Um, but no, I do. I enjoy my own company. I've learnt a lot about myself in the last 2 years, more than I ever thought I would. And I've learnt to trust myself a lot more as well, because I've always been very, oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this on my own. I don't think I would be able to. I doubt myself a lot. But then finding myself in certain situations and knowing actually I can do this on my own and I can be there for myself. I failed over 2 level crossings. And I'm thinking, oh no, this is going to go really wrong because I'm doing it. But actually, it went really smoothly. And we had fantastic moms on the ground and fantastic rescue drivers, and everything went really smooth. It was just, couldn't have asked for a better failure, I suppose. Yeah.
Failures do certainly bring challenges, and as you say, one of the joys is getting out of them and working out how to go forward and seeking the help of control and others.
Yeah.
I forgot where that question's going.
Got so much fun.
So how do you like that side of the business? Because the business has always recommended drivers use their initiative, because they're the ones on the ground. They're the ones seeing what's wrong. And I know for a fact, John said to me several times, he will support anyone if they make the wrong decision, but for the right reasons, if that seemed to be the
Yeah, yeah, because it's the rule book, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
always like you must do this, you must do that, unless. So everything's always very vague. So as long as everyone's safe and as long as there's a bit of common sense used, I feel like it is a case of right, you can see what's going on, and even though it might not be written down somewhere that this is what you must do in that moment, if you can work it out safely and efficiently, then that should be the best thing to do. And I love everyone in control. Oh, I think they probably know my phone number off by heart by now because I just like, hello. So it's nice to actually ring up and say, look, this is what's going on. This is what I think. What do you think? And even if it's a conflicting idea, it's nice that we're all able to meet in the middle. Like, okay, I'll give that a go and I'll give this a go, and then we'll see what happens in between. And then even being put through to fitters as well. And it's just, it's quite nice to keep everyone in the loop. And in the time of things happening, you're thinking, right, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And it's a million miles an hour. And then afterwards, it's nice to come out and go, actually, that was quite rewarding. This is what I could have done better. Or actually, I did this really well. So next time I'll do that again, or I'll change it to this next time. And it's nice to then kind of come together after with a person that you speak to in control. Or I like to call the signallers back and say, oh, thank you, by the way, that's really helpful. Write an email to control and say, thank you, that was really helpful. Or this is what I could have done. And yeah, just to be able to reflect on what's happened and how it's happened. And then you can just go on and learn from it and move on from it.
Yeah, and it's good to hear that's still ongoing because we used to do it a lot in the early days, and I don't drive so much now. But it's the fact that you're there and you can say to control, this is what needs to happen. Can you ask the zone to do this, or and this is what they and they just get on and do it, and it all works out generally. I think it's just completely different to how anyone else works and what makes GB Railfreight special.
Yeah, everyone's just their own little cog, and we're all
Yeah.
just keeping it moving and moving. And it's it's almost like a little choreograph, sort of. Even though everything is different every day, you're going to have different phone calls with different drivers or different controllers and different situations. But it's just all the little bits that you learn from each thing that you can then apply to what you're then doing there. And it's it is that teamwork, even though, yeah, as drivers, you're out on your own and you are still part of a massive team getting something from A to B, or just being there on a possession, even just babysitting a train. You might not do any work. You could turn up to a T3 and not move a muscle, but you're still safety critical and you're still there just in case. And it's so important. I think, yeah, the fact that everyone in the business is just as important as the next person.
Um,
What are the contrasts? So I only know the company as it is today. What are the biggest contrasts that you can see from then and from now?
I think it's size and diversity.
Mm.
So, I mean, in the early days, apart from there were no women in the business apart from a couple of HR and backroom staff. Now there's women everywhere, and the same across all sorts of diversity. We've got some massive teams in finance for the container bookings that we never had, and we've got women drivers, which I think is vitally important. I think I took the first woman driver into the business, recruited, and I think it's important to get that balance out there,
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and making the company more diverse, because it can only be a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, because it's
Um,
all different ideas, then, isn't it? People bringing
yeah,
different ideas and different experiences. And speaking as a woman and as a driver at GB, it is the best job in the world. I could not recommend it enough to anyone, let alone just women. Anyone. It's just, if you could, yeah, I sing it all the time, and I'm proud to be driving for GB. I'm proud to be making this step in my career with GB, and it's just brilliant. It's yeah, I lose words because I end up, I just feel it. I always say I just feel it. I can't explain it much. But yeah, I recommend it to
and,
everyone.
and I hope you have as good a 25 years in the business as I've had, because for me it's been absolutely phenomenal. And when you're in other jobs and other business, you think, well, could I do this or could I do? I've never felt that in GB. I've never felt like I wanted to look outside and go anywhere. Everything I wanted to do, I've been able to do in GB.
I think
Uh,
it's what you make it. If you come in, and I found that if I come in and I say to someone, "This is what I'd like to do," I mean, no rush, but this is what I'd like to do, and my 5-year goal is this, or my 10-year goal is this. Everyone's gone, yeah, okay, we can get that done. So, really? Oh, okay,
mm,
yeah, that sounds great.
yeah, no, I think it's the one thing that makes us different is that
Yeah,
ability to open up all sorts of avenues that haven't been available in the past.
yeah,
Really
absolutely.
pleased with that.
Yeah, there was I'd gone to an event once, and someone had said, yes, we're a railway family, but I think it goes deeper than that, because families fight and argue, whereas this is more of a like spending time with each other, and we like working with each other, and it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, and I think it's that working together, it's that teamwork that really makes the difference and makes us stand out, and understanding that, if we don't deliver, we don't get paid. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
The business has got to survive and improve to keep our salaries going.
yeah,
And you look at so many other businesses out there that haven't got that, lose work, and have to make people redundant. And and
yeah.
and this is one of the secrets, I think, is just everyone working hard
It's nice
for the right
to
goals.
Yeah, yeah, and we've all got the same goal. We've all got the same goal, and it's nice to not feel like a number. Like, you'll get the emails through, the monthly recognition emails, and I like to open them up and go, "Oh, I don't know who that is. I'm going to read what they've done, or I'll recognise someone and go, oh my God, that's really nice that they've done this. And I didn't know that this had happened. And so, yeah, to actually get recognition of things that we do in and out of work as well. Like the company magazine, I love getting that through and opening it up, flicking it. Oh, I know that guy. And then seeing them in passing and going, I loved your article, or I loved seeing you in the magazine, or I loved seeing you in the email. So, yeah, to get those sort of, it just feels like a little pat on the back, and you want to carry on going because you've got that motivation. And I find that a lot of places you'll go and you'll do your job because it is your job, and you only get spoken to if you've done something wrong. And then that's just going to knock your confidence and knock your confidence. So to actually, you do your job because it's your job, and then to be told you're doing a really good job, so, thank you, and then you want to carry on doing your job. It's motivating.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. And it's that management approach I think is important.
Yeah.
And that's really good. And that's something that the business seems to do well, which is really good. I've got one final question for you, I think. How, as an award winner, because you've recently won an award, I seem to remember.
Yeah.
As did I, which was quite a shock to me.
It was a busy end of the year, wasn't it?
How did you find that?
It's always, I'm sure you probably feel the same. There's that little bit of, are you sure that this is for me? That little bit of imposter syndrome that all I'm doing is what I like to do. And it's nice to be recognised, and to be recognised on such a mad scale is like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're nice memories. It feels good that actually what I'm doing it well. And I'm sure you feel the same, that actually, should I be holding this? Yeah, you should. It's great what you've done.
I have to say, I'm not a particular fan of award ceremonies, and I didn't really want to go and having my arm twisted. You're going to this no matter what. You should. It was like, but even so, then getting the award was quite a shock.
Yeah.
And with some of the people you're up against and some of the teams, you think, well, how am I any better than some of these teams? But
yeah.
No, it was absolutely welcome.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, isn't it? And like you said, when you see those names coming up and you think, that's a winner. Oh no, that's a winner there, because these people have done some incredible things. And then they're probably sat in the same position as us going, oh, I've not done anything. And actually, yeah, they're doing incredible things, and you've done incredible things, and it's nice to be recognised.
Yeah, but you feel it's the day job. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's just a normal thing that we're doing.
But other people have recognised that, and it is quite a shock.
Yeah,
I have to say.
A lot of people have said, "Oh, you're so lucky. The job that you do, you're so lucky." In a sense, we're lucky, but actually, we've put in a lot of hard work, and a lot of it is behind the scenes, and it's nice to then have that hard work recognised. That even though it's the day job, it's the fact that you're putting so much heart and soul and passion into your day job that it doesn't feel like a day job then, does it? It's just a hobby. You get up and you go out. I never feel like I'm at work. I'm going out and having a jolly all day, every day. I'm going to go and drive a train, and then I'm going to go around the shops, and I'm going to drive another train. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it easier to come to work.
Yeah.
Because of the fact it is such a nice job overall.
Yeah.
Definitely go with that. I was going to talk about, actually, I was thinking about one other thing the business does well and has done well for a very long time is staff events, bringing the rest of the family in. Now, I remember the very first staff train to Alton Towers.
That must have been amazing.
Which was around about 2002, 2003, and it's sort of carried on staff events ever since. And I think it's an important part of the business.
Yeah.
How do you find them?
Fantastic. I've been to one. It was a staff train to Blackpool, and it was just brilliant because you just you'll sit in your seat and you'll have something to eat, and it's lovely, and you get to your destination and you walk around. We went to the beach and all bought hats and sunglasses and ice cream, and we're all hanging around. And then it's the journey back that everyone's then up and walking around and introducing themselves to family and introducing themselves to friends. And even though you might be sat in one carriage and your mate's all the way down the other end of the train, everyone's just swapping seats.
Yeah.
And that was so much fun. It was, and then to be able to meet like John Smith, to me, he's it's just some genius behind a company that like I can't even put into words the amount that he's done. But then to sit there and he's in his funky shirt, sat next to his wife with his kids, and then to meet his family, it just makes it all the more personable. That actually we're all just people enjoying a train ride. This is great. And yeah, to be able to bring family along and go, these are the people that I work with. This is the job that we do. Thanks, by the way, for, because I might sometimes I'll get a phone call going, can you help? And I go, yeah, all right. I can come in whenever you need me to, whatever. But it's nice to be able to say to family, thank you for your time and your patience when I've had to get up and go to work. And it's that giving back.
And that's the importance of it. I think that's the one thing that makes family life a little bit better, that there are these, I'm not going to say rewards, but these days out and the ability to meet everyone and see what it's about, I think makes a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember John Smith's boys when they were this age, and obviously they're now both working for the business.
Yeah, which is mad,
quite a shock. Quite a shock. At the 10-year anniversary, we named a loco. I am myself and Jeanette Smith, who was the other long-serving employee, named a loco at Minehead up for the first 10 years. John was in the audience with his boys and his wife, but there was a little secret. It was meant to be GB Railfreight the first 10 years. What John didn't know, it had got John Smith above it until it was unveiled. And his face was an absolute picture. I have to be honest.
Have seen that. I would love to have seen that.
Yeah. So, and that was the 10-year anniversary at Minehead. So, we're now 25 years. We need to do something for John. Yeah. But I don't know what.
It's amazing. Actually, that's one thing as well that before I joined GB, that GB are very famous for, and that's the engine naming and the ceremonies that they do. And it's so exciting to, here comes a GB66. I wonder what one it is. And each one's got its own little quirks and its own little names. And I love that. And even before knowing much about the railway at all, it was something that I'd noticed. And it
gives them identity, and that means people can relate to them. And I think that's important. And if you get a chance to attend a naming ceremony, which I'm sure you will if you haven't already, they are fantastic events. Yeah. And I've attended quite a few, 709 twice in actual fact. But they are worth going to, and they really good days out, and quite often they're associated with a staff train or whatever.
Yeah.
So or some event alongside. They are worth attending. So
yeah, because surely almost every engine must be someone's favourite engine. It's got to be. And it's nice that even rail enthusiasts, they must have a favourite GB engine. And if it's not for the name and what the name stands for, it's the fun livery that we all like, the genius of Bob Tiller and his ideas.
Yeah.
And it's great to see one coming around a curve and going, no way, I'm getting to drive this one today, and it's the fun one. And
Bob's School of Art, I think it's fantastic. Some of the liveries that he's come out with on 69s and others. And
yeah, it's brilliant. We need to bring out a Bob Tiller colouring book, I think.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, I'd get involved. But all the different engines, it does. And I'm looking forward to the future as well with the 99s and seeing what we'll do with those, and if they'll ever carry names or if they'll ever carry any sort of characteristics.
It'll be a shame if they don't. And obviously they're very new and they're still in test and whatever. And I've not really been involved in them, and I don't know if you have or not. But they do need to get that identity. And
it's
not
the GB
just
tradition, isn't it?
And just not an ice cream cone, because the number obviously leads to that. Which John's played on when he launched it, so it's.
Yeah, I remember seeing the poster of the flake, and it's coming out of the ice cream. I thought it was a great idea.
But they do need to get an identity, and they do need to get names and that personalisation. I think it makes an important way forward.
Yeah,
and I'm sure some of them will.
Yeah, and it does. It just makes it a joy for everyone, railway or not on the railway. It's just. And I think that's what plants a seed then, isn't it, in people's minds that, actually, I want to work either on the railway or for that company because of the fun, especially GB, the fun that we're having. and people can see from the outside as well that we're all
Yeah.
we get the job done, but we have a giggle while we're doing it. There's nothing wrong with having a giggle while you're doing a serious job. And yeah, I think that attracts a lot of people into the company.
Last year was obviously 200 years of railways,
Yeah.
and the business made a big effort for locos painted. The train that we got involved with going around the country. Did you get involved in that?
I have driven the Inspiration train. I had a beautiful loco, Karen Harrison. That was amazing that you guys named an engine after Karen Harrison, 710. And yeah, I drove Karen leading, Michael Portillo at the back, driving the Inspiration train, bringing it down from Landor Street to Eastleigh. That was a nice, even though that wasn't during the 200 years, it was this year that I drove it. That was nice to just see it on diagram and go, no way, no way, I'm gonna be involved with something like this. This is amazing. And I went and visited it at Southampton, so to actually get on it and look around, that was brilliant as well. And yeah, it's just such a important thing to get involved with. It's not like we're all going to be around for the 300th year of the railway.
250 perhaps.
Hopefully, yeah, that would be nice. But no, it's to get involved with something in such a striking way as well. The bright red engines, it was just gorgeous, gorgeous engines.
Yeah, we went to see it at Norwich when it was there, and as you say, the display they've put together is really fantastic, and it's such a pleasure to have been involved in seeing that train out there and the business being involved. I felt that was phenomenal.
Yeah, and the headboards as well. Oh, and recently it was down in the south and had 73s on it. I thought that was quite exciting. So it's nice then to even get like little
Variations.
yeah, I think we're all into trains a little bit. I think so.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, I think we are a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to have those different variations and different things coming through is quite exciting.
Okay, so we've been asked about what advice we can give to someone coming into the business. And perhaps I'll start and then you bring us up to date, Bessie, on this.
Sounds
Might be the
good.
easiest way. So when I started, which was 42 years ago, whatever, it was quite hard to get into the industry. You really had to know someone, and I didn't. And I also lived quite remote. So it was lots and lots of writing, hearing nothing, and then suddenly 9 months later being called to an interview, but not actually being told what's going on. It was quite a strange position, I found. But it moved on. And when I was at South West Trains, certainly we were taking people off the street in because we had to. So if I bring it up to date as far as I'm concerned, if anyone wants to get in this industry, just go for it. That's the main advice. We take people off the street. We take people into the shunting roles. So whatever you want to do, just go for it. Look at the website, look for adverts, and keep trying. Lots of people want to get in because of the perceived salary. The perceived salary has its drawbacks, as we all know, shift work amongst others. But just go for it and don't be afraid of rejection, because you just got to keep trying.
That's a great bit of advice. Yeah, I agree. I started on the railway 8 years ago, and I wish that someone had given me that advice. I wanted to be a guard. That's all I wanted to be. I want to be a guard. I want to be a guard. So that's all I applied for. And we could only get through twice a year. So if you fail, we went through assessment. So if you fail the assessment, then you've got to wait 6 months and then try again. And I managed to get through to interview twice a year, every year for 5 years. So it just took me so long to get in. And then when I finally got in, it was the best feeling in the world. But looking back now, knowing what I know, I wish I'd just applied for anything. I wish I'd just put my foot in the door. And because actually going up the ranks, you learn so much. I still would recommend, if like, for example, if you want to be a train driver, I would recommend street to seat, fantastic. Heavy, it's very heavy because it's like a completely different language. But you will learn and you will have great teachers and people will be patient. But definitely just go for everything and anything that you can get, because each job is fantastic and you can work your way up and you can learn a lot. And I'm still used today. So I started as a guard. I then went into a secondment in control in Romford Rock. I then went into depot driving and now as a mainline freight driver. But I still use things that I learned as a guard today, and I still use things that I learned in control today. And it's nice to be able to implement different things that you learn throughout your career. Um, so yes, it's a great feeling and it's brilliant, and still go for it to go for your end goal. But there's nothing wrong in starting wherever you can get it. So I think, yeah, just going for it is a great bit of advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's nothing else that we can really say. That is just it.
Yeah.
It is hard. There is no to denying the fact.
Yeah.
It is hard to get in,
But it's worth
but
how
it's
hard
worth
it
it.
is. Yeah. And especially with driving as well. It's the Oh, actually, that's something that I'd like to ask you. So, for me to have gone driving, I had to pass my psychometrics. So it was a few bits of paper questions, then computer questions, then 2 interviews, and everything was just as awful as the next. And it is difficult and it is scary, and the fact that you've got so much pressure put on you makes it 100 times worse. But when you started driving, what was it that you had to do to get in?
Well, we didn't have psychometrics. That's a definite. And I have done one since, but it's never been recorded because before it was required. But when we were setting up psychometrics, I did test it and pass amazingly.
Fantastic, yeah.
Bit of reassurance. But, you know, back when all those years ago, we didn't have that. But you didn't come in as a driver under BR, and you spent a number of years, 2, 3, 4, sometimes more, as basically ground staff, shunter. Second man was the official title, or second driver's assistant, I think was the official title. But you were doing coupling and you were doing attachments and just assisting the driver basically as a T-boy,
Yeah.
for want of a better phrase.
Yeah.
And it's moved on and moved on. But during that time, people make a judgment on whether to move you forward. But the testing, I mean, I didn't get A levels or go to university, but I did go to a grammar school. And the aptitude test that they did at the time was so simple, I think an 11-year-old could pass. It's like if you turn, what is this object called, or how many sides does that have? It was so basic. It wasn't part of it. It was all about who you knew and how you came across
Yeah.
in those days. And it's moved on. And there's a very good reason for the psychometric testing, because it's about proving concentration and that sort of stuff, reaction times. But it is also hard and designed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they've recently changed it because previously it was 2 strikes and that's it. If you
Yeah.
fail the first, fail the second, you can then not apply for it again. I think unless they change something drastically and then the 2 tries reset. But now it's 3 goes and you're out. And I can't quite remember the amount of time between each one. But I think the fact that they're giving people more of a chance, because it is hard, it is difficult. And the nice feeling as well is knowing that if you do fail the first time, the things that you passed on, you don't have to do again. So if you wanted to go driving and it doesn't quite go the way that you wanted to go the first time, the second time you're still going to make just as good as a driver.
Absolutely. And I've seen some good people fail the psychometric and some not so good people pass it, but it proves a level and you have to do something.
Yeah.
One other thing, of course, the laws just changed, and this will be affecting the next few years. The driving age drops to 18
Yeah.
from 21. Now, I was a driver at 21. In fact, I went in the training school at 20 and a half because there was a vacancy and no one else wanted to move their holidays. So I went in the summer and passed out when I was 4 months after my 21st birthday.
Amazing.
So quite a young driver, and I've been driving a long time since. But moving it to 18, which I was aware of for the work I do within the industry, and support. And it's all about getting people when they leave school into it, because wait until they're 21, they've gone off and found other careers.
Yeah.
So it is opening up how the education system works and then bringing people straight in that they can be moulded into a driver's role. So I think while a lot of people say, oh, that's too young, You can drive a car at 18, you can get married at 18, you can do everything else at 18. Why can't you drive a train? And
Yeah.
if it gets you into the system to be moulded into what we need of as a train driver, that's got to be a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a young mind is something that's going to absorb all of that knowledge so quickly. And I think they'll make fantastic drivers. And a lot of people, like you said, there's that backlash of, oh, no, it is too young. It's not like they've turned 18 and they're straight in the driver's seat. It takes a long time to learn how to drive. You're in school for weeks and weeks, and then you're doing your hours. And by the time that they've passed out, they might be 19, they might be 20. But it's a case of actually, yeah, we should have young people interested in the railway because, like you said, they'll already be in a different career and not even thinking about it. So to have that from you leave the school gates and go straight into a secure, fantastic, brilliant career, yeah, to have that privilege is just fantastic, and it's one that young people deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing I was going to just briefly ask you on this, on the, and people might get nervous about, is we use simulators now. I was a great proponent of bringing the simulators into the business, following some RAOB reports and whatever. You've been through Peterborough School and used the simulators. How did you find them?
I love the simulators. I love as well that they're actually made from old 66 cabs. I think that's a really nice touch.
That's my idea.
There's a great idea. I loved that. And it was a really strange thing as well. So I went through school with a couple of other students. And so we'd all take turns in the driver's seat. And I'd be watching my friend drive and I'm thinking, oh, I can feel it. It's so realistic. All right, the people in there are a bit cartoony, but it feels so realistic that you almost feel like the cab's moving. And actually, it's really nice. And this might just be a few of us that may have that scatty sort of feeling that, I'm going to have a go at speeding in the sim because I can, not because you want to speed. Not it's like that when you're actually in your cab and in your train that you want to do that. But it's still quite fun in the simulator to go, woo, look at me go. And it's getting that silliness out to then be when you are your professional passed out self, that you've had all that fun in the school, you've had all the silliness come out, and now this is the real deal and you know what you can and you can't do.
Absolutely. And that's a very good point. The one thing the Sims allow you to do is to demonstrate emergencies.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to set an emergency up out there on the track, but you can do it in the sim and get people's reactions.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And I think it's a good grounding to future drivers.
We had a great teacher in the school where we were tricked, and it was a very good trick, and we did notice it, that we were learning about possessions and we were using the sim during learning. So even though we're not actually driving, we're in the cab, and he would come in with either cos on his arm or pike up on his arm and come in and give us instructions. And so we're taking instructions and then doing what we would do out in the real world, until one of us went, hold on a minute, he didn't actually have any identification on. He's just come in, he's given us instructions. We've gone to do it. Hold on a minute, come back. Who are you? So it's nice to then, yeah, like you said, things in the real world that you wouldn't even think of, to be able to even have that sim as a prop. It's things that then stick in your mind that you remember. So then in the real world, if I'm in a possession, in a cab, and someone comes in and tells me what to do and I don't know who they are, I'm then going to go, hold on a minute, who are you? And then everyone's safe just because we've had a play about in the sim.
Thank you for that. I'm just pleased because having been wanting them for a long time and getting them in and the business case and everything else, and the idea of using the cabs, it's great to see them being used properly and for what they are, for the two reasons, for emergencies and for getting used to the controls before you're out there. I think it's important. One other thing we've been asked to talk about is where we think the next 25 years are going to take the business. Now, this is a fantastic question, and I wouldn't know where to start. And trying not to get political, because politics has such a big impact on the rail industry. We are now the biggest freight operator.
That's just mad, isn't it?
Which is absolutely mad now that Freightliner has been split into two. When we started, we were the smallest, and so there was a lot to win. Now we're the biggest. There's a lot to lose. So a large chunk of the next 25 years is keeping on to what we've got and developing the sides of the business that can be developed, such as intermodal, still a growth area. Some of the other areas are very static, but intermodal, I think, is going to be one of the biggies to going forward. I don't know what you think. It's a real tough question.
It is, isn't it? Because so much has changed even in the last 2 years since I've joined. There's been a lot of change that I've witnessed and I've seen, like GB becoming the biggest freight operator. So, yeah, it's almost a case of when I started on the railway and I wanted to be a guard and I became a guard, it was all that work to, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. That when I finally got it, oh, well, now what? Well, now what do I do with it? So then it's enjoying what you've got, maintaining what you've got, and then thinking of the future. What new things are we going to bring in? So, like 99s and anything like that, it's almost unimaginable. I can't even begin to think of what new things could come. And especially with the railway growing and changing all the time, like new stations being opened, new bits of track opening up again. And it's great to witness. It's a nice thing to be able to sit back and witness bits of history.
Yeah, and absolutely it is. Um, Things like 99s are a fantastic idea, in my view. You know, what's going to be a feature of the future is longer, faster, and heavier freight trains. You can only achieve that with something like a Class 99. Electrification, in theory, will increase over the network, which should allow them to operate bigger areas. New terminals are opening. So, in my 40-year railway career, I've seen more terminals close than open. In the next 25 years, I can see more terminals opening than closing.
That is so exciting, isn't
Yeah.
it? It is so exciting.
Because we are, in terms of terminals, we probably are at the bottom, and now people are realising there is a need for rail freight.
Yeah. And with intermodal, like you said, being a growing business, that's quite exciting as well, because with everything becoming so much more eco-friendly, like the 99s, to be able to take as many lorries off the road as we can do with intermodal, it can only get better.
And that's a big selling point. And I know John will go to the politicians and say it's not a level playing field, and he's absolutely right. It's not. But it is worth reminding people one train is 50, 60 lorries.
Yeah.
And everyone moans about road congestion. Let's get some more oil on the trains.
Yeah.
There are long distance flows in this country. The Channel Tunnel is an underused asset for the country.
So that could be something worth looking into in the next 25 years as well. That would be really exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's more, you know, London to Scotland, it's a massive market. Lorries thundering down the A1 or the M6 isn't the right thing. If there's a lorry doing more than 250 miles, we should be looking to get it on the rail somehow.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. So over these last 25 years, what is one memory that really is GB to you? What really sticks out to you?
Okay. It's a hard question because there's been so many and I've been involved in so much. But the one thing that for me means the business and was the most touching for me, I guess, goes back to 2022 when I was diagnosed with bowel cancer. And the support I received from the business and from John personally was phenomenal. I was offered private medical operation, didn't need to take it because the NHS moved extremely fast in my case. But I was off work for 3 months recuperating and then light duties for a period. 9 months later, I was passed A1 by the company doctor. But that support in that time from John and the rest of the directors and the businesses was absolutely phenomenal and will live with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, this is home. It's your home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't need to do it. It was above and out with, you know. I don't get emotional much, but I am now, and it's difficult because being asked that question. But yeah, that to me is GB Railfreight.
Yeah. Care. You've been, yeah, absolutely loved.
Mm.
That's wonderful.
So to turn it on its head, Bessie, you've only had 2.5 years. This is going to be much harder for you to answer, I'm sure.
I think for me, one thing that does stick out, I didn't even work for GB at the time. And it was a case of that I sent an email saying, I'm really, really interested. And I don't know if there's any work going, but can I come and have a chat? And they said, yeah. And I come into Eastleigh and I sat down in front of Jay Campbell and he listened and we talked. And it was so nice to have the time. And then to get a phone call the next morning, literally the next morning, and Jay said, we'd like to offer you a job. That sticks with me because that's life changing. Jay Campbell changed my life just by giving me time. And that is GB. He completely changed the course of my life. And for the last 2.5 years, I've been having the best day every single day.
Jay is a good guy. I've known Jay a while. He really is a good guy.
Yeah,
But
I've got a lot of time for Jay purely because he gave me a lot of time. And again, I feel like I'm home, that I can just, can I speak to you for 5 minutes? We might not even know each other, but can we have a chat? Absolutely. And it was the fact that he gave me the morning. I come up, I'd never met him properly, or like maybe in passing, but never properly. And it was so nice to just be able to sit in front of him, tell him everything that I wanted to do, and if it was possible. And the fact that he's very open and honest as well, that he set my expectations and he was very realistic, and I appreciated that from him too. So to be able to have conversations and just be given time, that is very GB.
yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's been so lovely talking with you, Paul. I've enjoyed your company so much.
Well, I'd like to say thank you, Bessie, because we really, I mean, we've met in passing in Peterborough and wherever, but we've not had a chance to talk before.
Yeah.
And it's been a phenomenal interview, I think. And
I
you're
feel
lovely.
like we're quite similar as well. I've definitely somehow followed you in little bits throughout my career. So
Yeah.
no, thank you so much.
Thank
I've loved it.
Thank you. Thank you.